lot of people already know this information, but if you don't, every single week I'm talking about macros, calories, how to design this perfect diet. Well, this week I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. We're going to go into the other room in a minute and get the whiteboard out. Apologies if I'm sounding like a bit of a robot talking today. It's not going to be the most exciting video in the world, but this is the information you all need, because to live the rest of your life being able to control your body, control how you're looking and feeling, then this is basically how you're going to do it. Every single week I talk about macros, fitting the food in. If you follow me on Instagram and stuff like that, you'll always see me putting my macros up and the calories on the food. And as you know, I always say it's not what you eat, it's how much of it, and it's all about portion control. You would have heard the term a lot, people talking about there's no such thing as a bad foods, it's just all the portions you have. So basically today I'm going to take you through exactly what I learned a few years ago and what everyone that does flexible dieting, if it fits your macros, everyone knows what is on this board and everyone is doing exactly this. There's no secret diet or anything like that, it's just simply being aware of all your calories, your daily calories, being aware of your macronutrients, which are these three, and simply just being able to control them. So I'm not going to carry on talking about all that, I'm just going to get straight into it, because this is hopefully just going to be a short video, give you the info, and then you can get started on your own. I don't want to bore you all too much, so we're going to get into it. Macronutrients, this is the macros everyone talks about. There's the three main ones which you need to control is your protein, your carbohydrates, and your fat. And each one of these is basically energy. So for every 1 gram of protein, there is 4 calories. For every 1 gram of carbohydrates, there's 4 calories. And for every 1 gram of fat, there's 9 calories. So per gram, fat has got a lot more energy. That then takes us onto calories. So to find out how much you need to work out how many calories you need. So how you do that is by finding out your maintenance, and it's very simple. What you do is you get your body weight in pounds, so you jump on your scale first thing in the morning, and over here, this is going to come a little bit later on, but let's just say I'm a 200-pound male. So your body weight in pounds, I jump on the scale and I weigh 200 pounds. And to find out your maintenance, there's lots of ways of doing this, but this is the simplest and the most common way. You times your weight in pounds by 14 to 16. This is a range, as you can see down here. I've wrote it an activity range. If you sit in an office all day, then your activity range will be 14. If you work on a building site, your activity rating will most likely be 16. This will take into account things like how many times you train. So if you sit in an office all day and you don't go to the gym, then you are 100% 14. If you are on a building site and you train 4 or 5 times a week, then guess what? You're going to be on that 16. Quite a lot of people might fall into the 15, but this isn't, because at the end of the day, everybody's body is different. But this is just a great place to start. This is where you start, and then from there, you set your diet up, and then that's when you monitor it and trial and error. Okay, so that's simply how you find your maintenance calories. Over here, we're going on to how much now. This is exactly how to find out your macros and to start figuring out a diet for yourself. Okay, so protein. 1 gram to 1.3 grams of protein per pound of body weight. I know that might look like a 13, but there is a dot in there. So it's 1 gram to 1.3 gram per pound of body weight. That's your scale weight. We then move on to fat. Protein is the most important, so we get that out of the way first. And then fat is the second most important because fat is needed in your body. Fat is worked out in a percentage. And a percentage of 15 to 25% of your total calories will be from fat. This is, again, person specific. 15 would be very low when you were dieting in a calorie deficit, and 25 would be for someone that prefers a higher fat diet, also someone that might be in a calorie surplus. So that is worked out on a percentage of your total calories. We then move on to carbs. the way you work out your carbohydrate total is basically the calories left over. Once you've worked out your protein and you've worked out your fat, you then, whatever calories are left once you've figured those two out, you basically assign those calories to the carbohydrates. So now, this is basically going to explain exactly how you find out for yourself. This is the example I've wrote out today. So you've got a 200-pound male. So to figure out the calories for that male, I hope you can see this properly. You've got calories, so to figure out the calories, you do 200 pounds times 15. I've got that 15 from the activity range, I just went smack bang in the middle. So 200 times 15 equals 3,000. That will be your maintenance calories. We then move on to protein. Protein, as it says up here, is 1 gram per pound of body weight. So 200 times 1 gram equals 200 grams of protein. That is your protein allowance. Fat, we're going to go smack bang in the middle and choose 20%. So 20% of those 3,000 calories is 600. You then have to divide 600 by 9, and that 9 is because if you go back over here, there's 9 calories per gram of fat. So you have 600 calories divided by the 9 grams of fat, leaves you with 66 grams of fat. We're just going to drop that down to 66 grams because we can't be working out the 0.6. So you've got 66 grams of fat. To find out the carbohydrates, we're going to drop down the bottom here. So to find out the final little bit of this, protein, you've got 200 gram, which you worked out just over here. You times that by 4 because there's 4 calories per gram of protein. So that gives you 800 calories. We then move on to fat. You've got 66 gram of fat, which we worked out a moment ago. You times that by 9, which takes you to 594 calories. We've got 594, not 600, because I got rid of that 0.6. So to find out the carbohydrates, to finish this off, you've got 3,000, which is the total amount of calories. You then add up these 800 and 594. This is the calories you've already used up, which gives you 1,394. So you go 3,000, take away 1,394. That leaves you with 1,606 calories. That is your carbohydrate allowance. So up here, carbs, 1,606 calories divided by 4 equals 401 grams of carbs. So if we go back over here, just because there's a little bit of space, your 200 pound male daily needs to hit 3,000 calories, 200 gram of protein, 66 gram of fat, and 400 gram of carbohydrates, carbs. So that is basically your guy's target. Section 2. Okay, so now we've worked out this. This is the really important stuff. This is the foundations of what you need. So now we've worked this out. You then need to manipulate this to get your goals, to either lose weight or gain muscle. That is always the goal. You either want to be honest, if you've already got yourself down to a comfortable body position, then you're going to want to sit around maintenance. But most people either want to lose fat or gain weight. Let's face it, you either want to be shredded in summer or you want to be bulking in the winter. That's just gains and goals. So to manipulate, this is information that you need to know. Per pound of fat in your body, there is approximately 3,500 calories worth of energy in a pound of fat. So we know this. We know how to target fat loss or to gain weight, because all we need to do is to lose weight. we're down here, we need to create a calorie deficit. The deficit means less. So, to get that pound of fat off a week, you need to burn or eat less. You need to utilise 3,500 calories. So that means 500 calories per day equals 3,500. 500 times 7 equals 3,500. So, how you do that is you've got your 3,000 calories. You would then drop that down to 2,500 calories and then work these two numbers out again. The protein will remain the same. That is to lose fat. That is the textbook way. The rate of the deficit is all dependent on yourself, and this is where the trial and error comes in. But I'm going to go into that a little bit more at the end on where you should start and start points. But that is what the textbook says. 500 calories per day and you will lose 1 pound per week. But the textbook doesn't always reign true, so I'll show you that at the end. And then again, just here, this is to gain. So to gain weight, you need a calorie surplus, which again, the surplus just means taking in more than you consume. So again, 500 calories per day, 500 times 7, 3,500. The textbook says that will make you gain 1 pound per week. So to do that, you'd go 3,500 calories and then change these to, because you'd have different percentages to go off for the fat, and you'd be left over with extra calories for your carbohydrates. So that is how you lose weight and you gain. Okay, so where to start? This is my advice now. Instead of starting at 500 calories down, I advise you to start at maintenance calories. This is where you should always give yourself a little bit more time to diet. If you're 4 weeks away from a holiday and you're expecting to lose a load of weight, then guess what, it's not going to happen. So if you're being serious about this and you want to make a good transformation, give yourself plenty of time, and I want you to start at maintenance. So start at your 3,000 calories. From there, if you want to lose fat, slowly reduce your calories. So you want to be tracking your weight, monitoring your progress and all that, and every time you need to make a reduction. This may be once a week or once every 2 to 3 weeks or monthly. I want you just to do small reductions of 100 to 200 calorie reductions at a time. So your 3,000 might go down to 2,800 and so on. That keeps you going down. Okay, so how fast? The normal range of weight loss per scale will be 1 pound to 2.5 pound per week. That is the maximum amount of muscle. Oh, sorry, let me start again. 1.5 to 2.5 pound per week. That is approximately the maximum amount of fat you want to lose per week without starting to dig into your muscle mass. So, but the normal is a successful fat loss will be 1 pound to 2.5 pound per week. We then move on to fibre over here. Fibre isn't one of the 3 main macronutrients, but fibre is all the same very important. Fibre helps with digestion, fibre helps you keep full. So fibre comes from vegetables, it comes from oats, beans, all foods like that, and it needs to be in your diet every single day. So when you're tracking these 4 things, you need to keep an eye on your fibre. Whatever app you're using, that'll be perfectly fine, it'll do it for you. Again, fibre comes in a range. So per day, a minimum you should be getting is 25 grams per day, and also there's a top limit of about 60 gram. If you go over 60 gram, you'll be bloated, you might have a bit of trouble going to the bathroom and so on, so having a little bit too much can be just as bad as not having enough. Another way of doing that is 10 gram of fibre per 1,000 calories. So if you're on 2,000, then you should be having about 20 grams. That is a minimum. Okay, and then here we're going to go for best practice. When you're tracking your macros, a lot of people, it all depends on what you like. Me, I'm a very meticulous person, so most days I will track most of my macros, all 3 of them, to near enough spot on, but that's just me. A lot of people aren't as meticulous as I am. And it all depends where you are with your progression. If you're in your off season, or you're just trying to lose a little bit of weight and you're not too bothered about it, then that's a lot different to someone that's in competition prep and taking everything serious, and you might be a few weeks out and you're trying to dial everything in. So best practice is, instead of tracking all three of these, is to track your calories and your protein amount. That is like the gold standard of tracking macros and flexible dieting. Because as long as you hit your protein, your 200 grams minimum, you can go over that, but as long as you hit your minimum of 1 gram per pound, which is 200 grams if you're a 200 pound man, and your calories, your 3000 if that's what your goal is, then your fats and carbs will just fall into range, because no matter how high or low one of them is on a certain day, it's not going to ruin your progress, because they can't be that high because your calories are still topped off at 3000. So that is all this done. Right, thanks for watching. That's the end of this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it didn't bore you to death too much. What I did all those years ago when I was watching these sort of videos on YouTube, I watched the 3DMJ ones, the 3D Muscle Journey, which are on YouTube. I got a pen and paper, wrote it all down, worked it out, and put all this into practice and started doing it. I downloaded the MyFitnessPal app, and then that's how I got started doing all of this. So, thank you very much for watching. Please, if you enjoyed the video and found it helpful, give the video a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and if you can share the video, that'll help me even more. Thanks, and I'll see you next week.